That day was probably the biggest, when the biggest like shift occurred with the pandemic. That was right the day before lockdown went in place, and we were up in Napa, my husband and I, and our baby. She was only like a month old by then. And we woke up on Sunday morning, and I think I slept the whole night with one eye open. So, I wake up like a zombie in the morning, and Scott is on the phone with our leadership team, and he's talking through with the rest of our execs, like, what if we are deemed an essential business? What if we're not deemed an essential business? What happens to us? What happens to our customers? It's just this like so doom or gloom, like do or die type conversation. And I'm sitting there on the bed with the baby nursing. He's having this phone call, and I'm like, there's not a single thing I can do, right? Like,
welcome to Career Mama Stories, where we talk to moms who not only have one career, they have two, raising their children and doing the work that they love. Enjoy.
Don't forget to like and subscribe.
My name is Kristi Palmer. I'm the co-founder at Kiva Confections. We're a cannabis edibles company. I co-founded the business along with my husband, Scott, back in 2010. And I live in Alameda. I'm from the Bay Area, California. And I have a 17-month-old, just almost a year and a half, little girl at home. And it's the three of us living here together in Alameda. We moved to Alameda about a year ago during the pandemic. So we haven't really been able to get to know the neighborhood yet because everybody's locked indoors, but looking forward to exploring it and finding a new community here.
Awesome. We had a similar situation. So I have a one and only daughter also, and she is 6 now. She's turned 6. So we also moved 2 months before lockdown, and it was winter here in Oregon. So everything was not up and running anyway. We met a few neighbors, locked down, and then it was like, can we go over and say hi? Like, what do we do?
I know, right? Drop off cookies that are sanitized. Like, I don't know.
Right? I know, it's so strange moving.
Mm-hmm.
So your daughter is very young, and you have a young business.
Yes.
Tell me how, excuse me, your pandemic story, as much as you want to share, from kind of the beginning of when you knew lockdown was happening through up until now.
Yeah. So, Ellie was born a month before lockdown. So that was great because I had planned a home birth actually, which ended up, we had to go to the hospital anyway, because I was late. And so, we had planned, to have family around, and, after lockdown, that was not possible for people in their birth. I don't even think the spouses were allowed in the delivery room. And I think like there were probably 6 or 7 people that came into the hospital room. So, I wanted like a real like birthday party for Ellie coming into the world. And so I felt really, really lucky that I was able to have that still. I was able to take Ellie out to like lunch one day when she was about 3 weeks old. And then that was pretty much it. Like that was about as far out as we ventured before we then had to just stay home. So that was a huge shift for me, as it was for everybody. But we had to kind of learn how to run the business from home, and how to be remote, right? Whereas we're used to being in the office every single day and, going 90 miles an hour, attending events, conferences, like, water cooler talk around the office, like just none of that, right? I think everybody experienced that, just that kind of feeling like things came to a screeching halt. So, that was pretty challenging for everybody. And then pivoting the business, right? Making sure that people can still come to work, that they feel safe, that they don't feel like they're going to get COVID or spread COVID while they're at work. That was really huge. And then fast forward to today, we're planning, how do we get back to the office? What does that look like? What are people's schedules? Is it, mandatory everybody work 5 days a week in the office, or can we be a bit more flexible? So we're still looking into how that translates into this new world.
Sure. So cannabis industry, there's a lot of talk about indulgence during the pandemic. I call it my cider baby. I love hard cider. So, and in Oregon, we have such good cider. So my husband and I tried all the ciders, and now we're like, okay, can't keep doing that. Can you tell me how sales went and what business did it keep, increasing? How did business look?
Yeah, so it was a little bit scary there when we right that time before lockdown, when businesses were being deemed essential or not. So we were kind of holding our breath, like what's our fate really? Because if you were forced to shut down, how would you ever bounce back from that, right? That seemed like just unfathomably scary. So we thanked our lucky stars that we were deemed an essential business. So we were allowed to continue to operate, serving delivery services, and really kind of keeping up regular operations throughout the state, which was amazing. But yeah, it was just, really hard to keep things going and keep the team safe. So yeah, it was a lot there. Just not knowing what your fate was going to be and having to pivot very quickly to get things moving again. So yeah, so people were stuck at home, and that was good for business because cannabis consumers, there's data that shows that cannabis consumers are more likely to consume alone when compared to people who consume alcohol. So I don't know if that's necessarily the same now after the pandemic. I bet a lot more people are willing to consume alcohol alone than before, but cannabis is already kind of known as something that you consume by yourself. And so I think also being stuck at home with your family in particular was good for edibles. Right? Because if you want to inhale cannabis or smoke, there's a scent that comes along with that, right? So if you have small living quarters, or you've got kids around, or all your neighbors are home, that makes it difficult to smoke. And so I think edibles, there's definitely a silver lining to the pandemic for us, and it was that I think the acceptance of edibles really increased.
I could imagine so many people anxious still, right, about what are they going to do in the future. So that is, I would assume, is one of kind of your goals. Do you want to talk about your mission as a company and what your goals are around the product?
Definitely. So our goals with our product, our company's mission is to really get cannabis safely and deliciously out to the masses, and reach as many people with cannabis products as want them, and are accepting and open to using them. So we back in 2010, we're one of the very first edible companies to test our products, make sure they're consistent. And a lot of edibles at that time, we were in an unregulated market here in California. So, there's no standards for listing your ingredients or testing your actives and telling people how much THC or what the effect might be from those kinds of products. So it was like playing Russian roulette every time you consumed an edible. It was like, okay, here we go. Don't know what you're going to get, but hold on tight. So we really aim to take the guesswork and that uncertainty out of the edibles experience, give people a set amount, use premium ingredients, make that experience repeatable, kind of what you would expect from any regular old consumer packaged good that you might find at the grocery store, right? That bag of Lay's potato chips is pretty much exactly the same every single time. You don't have to read the label to find out, that it was made safely in a safe facility and that it's clean, right? Things like that that consumers just come to expect. So yeah, we set out to kind of elevate the edibles category, and 10, 11 years later now, we're still coming out with new things and new formats and new types of confections for people to enjoy. So
Awesome. So it's still such a controversial topic here in the United States to make it legal. What I'm hearing you say too is that the legalization and having some control mechanisms and quality control mechanisms can make it safer. Is that
yes.
your belief too?
Yes, definitely. Definitely. There needs to be like consumer protections, right? You need to know that product is clean. It needs to be dosed with a certain amount, consistent with what is on its label, so that people know what they're getting, right? It should be a safe product that people can rely on. So yes, regulation is evolving, I'll say, right? We have to start somewhere, and we're not always necessarily happy with how the rules are set. But if they increase transparency amongst the companies, if they increase the overall quality of the products available on the market, we're headed in the right direction, and we can tweak things as we go along. That's all to be expected.
Great. So I'm wondering if the pandemic, you're so future oriented and you got into an industry that was in its infancy, right? And so then the pandemic happens and there's a whole nother layer of infancy with businesses and going remote and virtual. Was that something that you felt you were more equipped because you're a risk taker and you have tolerance to that? Or was this the opposite? How did it feel, the pandemic and being a mom, right? Brand new mom too.
Yeah, being a brand new mom, I felt totally helpless. To be honest, I was exhausted, first baby, like don't know what I'm doing, not sleeping, all the stuff that every mom in the history of moms has gone through. But so no, that was a trip, like kind of uh, taking a back seat or taking a spectator's position on what was going on for the company. So that was just kind of a strange experience, but I think for us, we pride ourselves on being nimble. Even at the time of the pandemic coming on, we had close to 300 employees. So, you want to be nimble, but you also have a lot of people and a lot of processes that all need to be changed. And someone needs to like own those and make sure that they're happening, right? It takes a lot of cooperation and collaboration to make that happen. So I think that we are innovative. We try our best to be nimble and quick on our feet and think ahead. That definitely like threw us for a loop, for sure. But I do think that we bounced back relatively quickly, and we were able to kind of turn make lemonade out of lemons, so to speak. And I'm just extremely proud of our team and how like amazingly passionate and skilled and talented they are, and how quickly they were able to right the ship. Yep. So, oh God, yeah, that day was probably the biggest, when the biggest like shift occurred, with the pandemic. That was right the day before lockdown went in place. And we were up in Napa, my husband and I, and our baby. She was only, yeah, like a month old by then. And we thought, like, let's get out. Let's if things are going to lock down, let's take advantage and go just get away for like a night, with some other family. And so we did. And we woke up on Sunday morning, and Ellie, I just you're in a foreign place with a new baby, you're barely sleeping at all. But I think I slept the whole night with one eye open. So I wake up like a zombie in the morning. And Scott is on the phone with our leadership team. And he's, talking through with the rest of our execs, like, what if we are deemed an essential business? What if we're not deemed an essential business? What happens to us? What happens to our customers? It's just this like so doom or gloom, like do or die type conversation. And I'm sitting there on the bed with the baby nursing. He's having this phone call, and I'm like, there's not a single thing I can do, right? Like, I can't even get on the phone because I have a baby in my arms who's like making all of this noise. Scott's in the same hotel room. Like, there's not even an outlet for me. I guess I could go on mute and just listen to the other side of the conversation, but like I really couldn't participate. And so it's such a good lesson of like just that like strange feeling of kind of like trusting other people, letting go, dealing with the punches, like, as they're being thrown at you, and kind of just trying to figure out how to roll with it. So yeah, that was like a moment in time I'm not sure that I'll ever forget.
Yeah, just lack of control.
It's like it's just the perfect metaphor for parenting too, right? You're like, just there's like, an inch of what you can control out of a mile of being a parent. And like, if you could accept that, it's a little bit less intense, but
Yeah. I was in the executive suite at my past job. I chose to quit my role so I can work for myself during the pandemic. And I remember we did Myers-Briggs assessments on the first team I was on. And then the second team, we did it again. And I thought, well, might as well just do it again for fun. And mine had changed one of my letters. And so our professional development specialist, I said, is that normal? I thought like your Myers-Briggs is what you are. And he goes, well, think about all the things that have happened to you in the last year. You had a baby, you got promoted. He went on and on. I was like, oh, and you know what it was? It was about control. It was, I had to let things go more. And as a mom, especially, but then even as you grow as a leader, right? People tend to want to get into higher levels to have more control, but you actually lose a lot of control.
you do. Yeah, you do. You become from like a boots on the ground, like individual contributor, to like an expert, hopefully, ideally, in helping people like achieve what you might otherwise be achieving yourself. And yeah, and you can't tell people what to do. Like, you can try, but it's not going to work very well. And you can't tell 10 people what to do. You gotta that's why you hire them, right? To be their independent thinkers and to use their expertise and bring their own ideas. Like, yeah, that's what you really want. But it takes a lot of time to get there. And it's a constant struggle. I don't think it's a destination. I think it's definitely a journey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that moms make such good leaders because if you learn that as you're parenting, where you gradually let go of the reins and you just want, hope to God they heard the big picture, your value sets that you want for your children, and goal setting, and just being good people. As long
Yeah.
as they're achieving those things, awesome.
Yeah.
And same with leadership, right? As long as the people that you're leading are sticking to the goals and the values of the organization, then everybody works well together.
Yes. Yes. And having those goals and those values very clearly defined. And then I find what I can control is myself. And if I model those behaviors and those things that I want my team or my baby to do, that feels like almost as much as I can do sometimes. It's like, okay, I'm just going to pretend like this doesn't bother me because I don't want it to bother her.
Right. And I think that was probably the hardest part about being a mom during the pandemic. Like, we're modeling, and all of a sudden it was in such tight quarters where
Yes.
it was not only, it used to be for me in particular, my daughter knew where I worked and she could come there. And so it was this ethereal thing. And I told my husband too, I really want her to see her mom doing the work and participate where she can. And so thus all these businesses I started. And
I love it. I love it. That's so great. She's going to learn a ton from you. That's amazing.
thank you. Same with you, Mama. Raising daughters is no joke, right?
I know, right?
Okay, I'm going to show the book that you already had. Hopefully you can see this well enough. Is it zoomed
Yeah.
in? Okay.
Yeah, it
Okay.
looks great.
So, but if you could tell me kind of your initial gut feelings, reactions overall, and then pinpoint which picture resonates the most with you, that'd be great.
Yeah, sure. I mean, they all are. I'm like, oh yeah, I remember a moment like that. Oh yeah, definitely remember a moment like that. Picture number 6 is funny because there's, that smoke cloud or the steam cloud, I guess, kind of coming out of the coffee. And I'm like, oh, that, at our house, that would be a joint. And we're, like we're smoking underneath the hood of the oven while the baby's in bed. It's like, so it's a little bit of a different cloud at our house, but yeah, just like in picture number 5, the daughter is emulating the mom, and it's like, it's just so cute. But and I love the illustrations, they're gorgeous.
Thank you.
Yeah, picture number 3 definitely resonates with me. You have the daughter, like, looking over the screen and trying to push the buttons, and then the next screen, she's, enthusiastically waving at the monitor. And oh my God, that is Ellie to a T. She loves people. And it's so funny because Scott and I are often on the same phone calls together, the same meetings. I'm in my office, he's in his office, or, I'm downstairs or he's outside. Like, we're always in different rooms on the same call. And so Ellie will sneak over and jump on my lap and see Scott on the screen and just have a fit and dada, 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 for the next 5 minutes straight, nothing but dada comes out of her mouth as she's waving and pointing and saying hi to everyone. It's so cute, but it's really distracting, especially when it's your turn to talk. You're like, okay, mom has to talk now. Mom has to work. So, keep it down for a second, which never works. But yeah, and the fact that mom's being climbed on and she's got, the daughter has a fistful of hair, like, I can relate to basically every single thing in that picture.
Awesome. Thank you. My final question is, if anyone, let's say politicians, anyone in authority, somebody of influence catches on to the series and wants to hear advice from real life mamas doing the work and being affected in lockdown, what advice would you have as far as what moms need, what we want people to hear?
Ooh, oh my gosh. I am becoming such a proponent of provided daycare or childcare for parents. I know, like, having a nanny now, we're getting ready to take Ellie to daycare eventually, but the cost of that is insane. I mean, I can't believe it. When I write the check for the nanny every week, I'm like, oh my God, this is insane. So that's just really, really draining. And I'm so grateful that we have the means to pay the nanny. But I can't imagine not having the means. Like, I don't know what you would do. Like, it's kind of ridiculous that it's taken our society where we are today. We look and we don't have childcare for parents. It's just weird. It's like, what are you supposed to do? It's just your reality. You have a kid, you have a job, you have to pay your rent. Like, they have to come together in some way. So I've never been able to really absorb or accept that until having a child of my own. Then it's like, you can't get anything done with a kid. You just can't. It's just the way it is. They're so time consuming and demanding, and they want all your attention. So, which is great, but we need to set up some kind of infrastructure for that, for parents, for all parents of all income levels. Like, it should, and it's good for the kids too, to get that interaction. So, yeah, I would love, and I will support any initiatives towards supporting parents and providing childcare until school age.
Awesome. You are not alone. All the moms I talk to, that's the one thing that stands out, because I think it also hit us so hard when all of those resources were stripped, right? Same for me. Yeah, childcare was taken away. And I was like, well, I didn't sign up to be a stay-at-home mom. There's nothing wrong with that. That is a choice some women make. But more and more so, women also know that their kids are going to grow. And so they want to keep their career moving, or have passions that they want to do. And so, yeah, daycare for us was such a blessing. And my daughter was she's a one and only. So for her to go with other children was the biggest thing we needed.
Yeah.
And she needed, quite frankly, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Everybody needs a little space and time to stretch their wings and get to know new people. Yep. I think there's a ton of value in that also.
Yeah. And so more and more women are also just choosing not to have children.
Yeah.
They don't have family nearby, or they don't want to be a stay-at-home parent, or it's really interesting.
Yeah.
And it seems like some other countries might have this figured out. So I'm with you. Let's look at their models, right?
I was reading about Germany. They do 3 years of paid maternity leave. And some of the parents, some of the women were like, I don't love being out of the workforce for 3 years. Like, right. What an interruption to your career. But it's it's there, it's available. I think that's the other extreme to what we have in the States, which is pretty much nothing.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Even Eastern Europe.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Kristi, thank you so much for your time. I'll let you go. Speaking of time and moms.
Thank you.
Congratulations. You've got number 2 on the way.
Thank you. Yes. I can't wait to do it again. I know, right? I'm like, I better feel better in the second trimester. I didn't feel bad with Ellie, and I'm just like exhausted now. I'm like, oh God, I hope I get my motivation back because I'm gonna need it.
Yeah, well, you have a toddler, so of course you're tired.
I know, and more stairs in this house than I did in my other house. So
there you go. You'll stay in shape at least. That's great. Do you know if it's a boy or a girl yet?
Actually, no, we're not going to find out. We're not going to find out. We're going to let it be kind of as part of trying to be more putting people less in a box, right? I think with our genders of our kids, we go, it's a big reveal of what's their equipment, right? Like what's their anatomy. So we did a training at Kiva that was led by one of our employees who studied this in college. And it was so eye-opening. So no, we're going to let it be. I'm going to do a gender neutral nursery, gender is fluid and everybody identifies differently. So we're going to try that this time around.
I love it. Yeah. Good luck with all of that. Sounds
Thank you. Thank you. All
right, Kristi, have a great day. And thanks again.
Great. And thank you so much, Lisa. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Stay in touch. Bye.
Bye.